starting. Hello, I am Pope Fire. I have with me Lady Death and my Nightwing expert, Dustin. Today we're starting off a new series called Titans Thursdays, and every Thursday we will go over a new Titan every week. First off, do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. Ladies first.
Oh, you call me off guard. So, I'm Dev, or you can call me Dinah, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, I am just getting into the Western comics in the recent decade, so I'm not really a master, but I love learning.
Yeah, I'm Dustin. I've been collecting on and off for, I don't know, most of my life. Nightwing is probably my favorite. I even have a Nightwing tattoo, but I dabble in everything in comic books, so.
Yeah, my first comic was actually a library copy of Judas Contract. That's the first appearance of Nightwing, because he first appeared in 1984 we just had this issue, 44, issue 44 of Tales of the New Teen Titans. First off, let's do a little history on Dick Grayson. Dustin, would you like to go over it?
Yeah, he is the first Robin. He is Batman's ward. His parents were killed. The Flying Graysons, his parents were killed, and in turn became Bruce's ward. It's debatable about who. I guess one of the biggest debates that we have with Dick is who is the greatest Robin. Some think it's Damian. Others think it's Tim Drake. Nobody talks about Jason, unfortunately.
I think Dick. I think it's, without saying that, it is Dick.
A lot of people now are saying Tim. They have kind of shifted over since Dick has become Nightwing in his own kind of thing. I think because Tim doesn't really have his own book, even though he's led the Teen Titans and taken over after Dick moved on to the regular Titans. A lot of people are kind of saying it's Tim Drake now, which I don't have a problem with that.
I think they may just be saying Tim because Tim did have one of the most successful Robin books. He did sort of make Robin cool again. I think people just miss him. I think people really miss Tim Drake. We'll get to Dick's relationships with the other Robins in a little bit, but he's one of the founding members of the Titans, of the original Teen Titans, which was Dick Grayson, Donna Troy, Garth, Wally West, and Roy Harper. Very, very interesting character, Dick. Especially his relationship with the Teen Titans, because I think one of the most appealing things about Dick Grayson, outside of his butt, is is his relationship with other superheroes, and he is definitely the most popular Teen Titan. Do we want to go into some of his relationships with some of the characters? Oh, we have Mike here. Hello, Grandpa Mike.
Hey guys, sorry, I'm eating Halloween candy.
Nice.
Leftover Halloween candy.
Darn.
Yeah, Mike. We actually have our Nightwing expert here, Dustin. He is going to sort of help us with some of the Nightwing stuff that I'm not caught up with, and he's definitely going to check me if I get anything wrong. He actually has a Nightwing tattoo, but I don't think it's appropriate to show it.
Oh no!
It's cool because it's actually an insignia. I have the Robin his Robin insignia and the Nightwing logo, and it's tattooed like it would be an insignia on his uniform.
Okay, it's not on his butt. It's not on his butt. He can show it. Come on.
If it's going up on YouTube, this is going up on YouTube. I don't know if everybody wants to see.
Did your mom know you have that tattoo?
Oh, my parents have given up on that a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Tattoos.
Now, on the original Teen Titans, it's been forever since I read that book, but they definitely did have. It definitely wasn't as successful as New Teen Titans,
No.
but they did have sort of like a sibling relationship. Back then, villains weren't as what would you call it, developed as they were as they later became in New Teen Titans. So it really did feel like a little Justice League book, and Dick Grayson is known for being the leader of the Teen Titans. He's definitely not the only Robin that's taken in charge of the Titans, but during that time, he was definitely one of the better known sidekicks. I mean, he is the first sidekick in comics, correct?
I would say, I would imagine so, because everybody else, I mean, Kid Flash, Arsenal, all those came after, even Wonder Girl. Going back to what you said, 'cause I do have like 4 or 5 issues of Teen Titans Volume 1. You're correct that all their awesome villains came in the Wolfman Perez run. So like the Vigilante, Slade, of course, Brother Blood were all introduced within that run. So yeah.
I think their most blah, 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 blah. I think, okay, so we actually see Mad Mod, who debuted in Teen Titans, and then we see Ding Dong Daddy, who's really only known for being in one episode of the Teen Titans cartoon. Yeah, so there's not really a lot there from his original Teen Titans days. I think the most interesting book from the original Teen Titans, and I would say Teen Titans, I believe it's year 1. They kind of go back and touch on that stuff, and they definitely develop it a little bit more. Let me see if I can find. I believe it's called Teen Titans Year 1. It's probably one of my favorite books with that era of Titans. I know that they go back with Titans and kind of touch on that a little bit, but I'm not as caught up on the Titans Rebirth book. See if I can get a screen share.
When you when you say original Titans, you mean the original 60s, 70s Titans book?
Yes.
Yeah, that was just kind of campy. There wasn't a lot of most of the villains there are kind of one-shot goofball, like you said, the Mad Mod and goofball villains like that. There's not a lot of not a lot of that stuff ends up appearing later on. Even in Wolfman Perez, not a lot of that stuff ends up appearing.
Well, I definitely, if you guys do want to read something with that era of Titans in it, either read the Titans books from the early 2000s or Teen Titans Year 1, which is definitely one of my, because if you want to read them with children, that's probably like their best book with them in it. Okay, yeah, sorry. Besides that, show Bob tattoos. Joshua, leave him alone. Besides that, I think the most interesting thing to come out of Teen Titans was their relationships with each other. And it definitely didn't develop until later on when the Teen Titans did become a little bit more popular. But Dick Grayson's strongest point will always be his relationship with his friends. Or at least that's how I see it. I don't know how you guys, like, what would you guys would consider his strongest point or biggest characteristic, but I do think that his relationship with other superheroes is one of his most important things about his character.
You mean you're saying that you mean Dick's relationship?
Just with his friends, with the Bat family. I think that's one of the most important things about him is that his friends and his family.
Well, as a matter of fact, there's a little known today Bat title in the 70s called Batman Family. And I can't even remember how many issues it lasted, but I probably have them all somewhere. But it focused on Robin and Batgirl and a lot of the other peripheral characters. And if what I remember understanding, it was popular enough that was one of the reasons they decided to give New Teen Titans a reboot, was because it actually did really, really well. They didn't think anybody would want to read about Batgirl or Robin or anybody like that, but apparently without Batman in it, the comic didn't have Batman in it. It was Batman Family. Every once in a while, it would even have an Alfred story, I think. But yeah, I think that was really important because it showed the relationship between Dick and Barbara Gordon. And what's interesting about that comic too, if you ever hunt it up, is Barbara Gordon's portrayed as being a lot older than Robin. So there's no really romantic relationship. He's portrayed as a teen, and she's more of a mid-20s, maybe even late 20s character. But yeah, he's definitely he was definitely the A character in terms of both how people knew who he was. I mean, the character had been around since 1940, so everybody knows who Robin is, and the fact that he already had a relationship with a lot of the other DC characters before he was even in the Titans.
Yeah, and they kind of acknowledged that in the new Nightwing Rebirth. When they redid it, they have a Superman basically states that if Nightwing vouches for you, then it's a good thing. Like Nightwing vouching for you means you're trustworthy. So he even says that he gets the Nightwing bump, which gets Batman to trust this, the rebirth Superman.
Yeah, an interesting thing, since we're on the topic of Superman, Nightwing is actually a Kryptonian superhero, is he not? Because I know he got the name from Superman.
Yes, but they've retconned that now too again.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting how that works, but yeah.
Okay, so yeah, DC retcons everything.
Wasn't he in Kandor? What was that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I seem to remember. Kandor, the Shrunken City. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, and I think they retconned it in Nightwing Volume 2. I want to say, I can't remember if it was Volume 2. They did a Nightwing Year 1. And that's where I want to say it started, and then it got retconned.
Yeah, that was written by Chuck Dixon, right?
Yes.
Okay, Chuck. I am Facebook friends with Chuck Dixon, and I did talk to him a little bit before I did this. Chuck Dixon was pretty much told no sci-fi in his Nightwing book, which ended up hurting his relationships with some of his friends. Definitely hurt his relationship with the Titans. So that would kind of explain the retcon, because they pretty much told him, like, we don't want like any sci-fi, and he got in trouble just making like little Easter eggs to some of these characters.
It's amazing what a great writer Chuck is, and the fact they had to handcuff Chuck, who is, he's only one of the greatest writers in comic history, and they're like, no, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that.
I think he probably would have been, because I'm biased. I think Marv is one of Dick's best writers, but I do think Chuck would have been the best writer if DC hadn't have handcuffed him as much. Now, he definitely set up most of Nightwing's lore, and I absolutely love the lore of Nightwing. Even though I am a big Teen Titans fan, I love Bloodhaven. I love the concept of Nightwing in his own city and stuff. But it is a bit frustrating that they sort of chained him down, and then they gave Devin Grayson.
Yeah, don't even go there. We'd be here all night if you start talking, Devin.
Yeah, Devin, you do not ever let somebody that is willing to change their last name to the character's last name write your book. That is bad.
Yeah, somebody named Clark Kent wants to write your Superman book. You say no.
No.
You cannot write.
Well, they did give business.
Femboys cannot do
so.
Yeah.
Femboy cannot do anything, right?
No, well, the thing about Devin Grayson, and I don't want to talk about her too long, but she not only did she destroy a lot of a lot of what Nightwing was building up to, but she also did a lot of things to his character that just didn't make sense. She kind of retconned it to where Dick Grayson was quote unquote in love with Bruce Wayne, which is a really creepy thing to do. And then the Nightwing Hunters book, which should have been good, like the whole underlining thing of you're only helping her because she reminds you of Bruce, and he's like interested in her because she reminds him of. It's really gross. And then
is she a Tumblr writer? Sorry to interrupt.
Well, there has been some speculations that she was that she only got on the book because of her relations with one of the editors. Yes. Now those are just speculations. I'm not 100% sure on it, but you don't call up Mark Waid and then all of a sudden like get a book when you guys are just now dating.
Well, what sucks is in that book is the Chuck. I would recommend the Chuck Dixon issues of Nightwing. I think he did about issue 70 or so. But what's great is you're right. He sets up a whole mythos for him. He gives him. He's got foes. He's got a whole city to himself. He really set it up really good. And Devin tore it all up when she got a hold of it. I mean, she just tore the whole thing down to the point where she killed off like a lot of periphery characters. She raped
him.
Yeah,
she raped the character. She created a character to rape him.
Oh my god!
And then she burned. Is she the one that did where Bloodhaven got blown up by an atomic bomb?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So she blew up the whole city even.
And was she the one that also had Dick Grayson kill Blockbuster? I can't remember if that happened in her.
That was actually
Yeah.
Tarantula that killed Blockbuster, right?
Yeah, Tarantula was her character. That was her self inserting herself into the character.
That was her very
That's why I asked, why would she be qualified
she
to
was
write a character like that? That's why I asked, because everything so far that you guys talk about, to me, it's just like one of those really bad written fan fictions on the fanfiction.com.
Well, she was dating Mark Waid at the time, so take that what you will.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
like dating cancer. It just spreads all over the place.
It's like herpes.
Yeah, I mean, this was somebody that was so obsessed with the character.
Because Wade wrote some really good Justice League stuff, so I have to,
Oh no, Wade does have talent. He's just insane.
It's like Bendis. You have to have somebody that can wrangle them in and make sure that they just stay on the course. Don't let them stray too far.
Right.
You need to get Wade off of social media.
Yeah, someone should took his social media away from him.
Wade, I've actually had a conversation with Mark Wade before. I don't think he would have spoken to me if I wasn't female, but he actually is a really good writer. I don't like his character. I think he's done some really, really bad stuff. With that being said, though, Mike, what are you doing? Oh, that's Dinah. With that being said, let's kind of get back on topic here. Yeah, one of the most interesting things about Nightwing is this relationship, and Nightwing is probably the most popular female fan base. He probably has one of the biggest female fan bases. Now, obviously, we do know that he's got some major sex appeal. But why else do you guys think Nightwing would have a bigger female fan base than most other superheroes?
Well, he's like the boyfriend every girl wants, right? I mean, seriously. He's like the big brother he's like a big brother and then a sex appeal guy all rolled into one.
And he's kind of gotten around in the DC universe too. So I mean.
Oh yeah.
But
well, isn't that he gives the appealing? He's kind of like Prince Charming, but in the same time he have the bad boy side, but in the same time he's using his bad boy side, doing the good things that other people, even cops, can't even do it. So Vigilante is always a girl's fantasy because he's a bad boy, but at the same time, he's not that bad.
Well, he's a bad good boy.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing. Compared to everybody else in the DCU, I mean, he does. I mean, Batman's brooding, and Dick is the one. He's wisecracking. He's, more relatable than some of the other DC characters, and I could understand why females would, be attracted to Dick Grayson.
He's kind of like Batman.
Grayson now.
You might have a crush on Batman, but he's so unapproachable that here's Nightwing over there. He's good looking too, and he's just as athletic and badass, but he's much more approachable.
No, Dick Grayson is definitely more athletic than Bruce Wayne.
Sorry, his name is Rick Grayson right now.
Oh, Rick Grayson.
Not gonna call him that. No,
he's Dick
Grayson. RIC, not RICK.
Oh, so
why?
It just happened in the new Batman. I think it's Batman issue 51 where he was shot in the head. So they're taking him on a different path where he has memory lapses. I'm gonna keep collecting and see where this goes, but yeah, he goes by Rick. He gets in bar fights, and poor Alfred and Barbara are very concerned, and Bruce is like, whatever, So.
See, that's an interesting thing. His relationship with Bruce Wayne. Going off of the new Teen Titans books, and that's most of where I get my knowledge from. But his relationship with Bruce is one of the most heartbreaking things about his character, because you can tell that he really wants Bruce's approval. You can tell that he wants Bruce to love him, and I mean like as a father and son love, not what Devin Grayson was going for. But it's really heartbreaking because Bruce has done some really crappy stuff to Dick. And not only did we see him sort of favor Jason Todd to Dick and treat Jason so much better than he did Dick, but everything Dick did seemed to only make Bruce more disappointed. And I know that Bruce does love him, and he does. He is if something happened to Dick, I know that it would probably break Bruce a lot more than it would if it happened to the other Robins. But I do think that he is a lot harder on Dick, and I do think that Dick was sort of well, he definitely was the first Robin, so Bruce learned a lot of mistakes from his relationship with Dick.
Reading a lot of the I'm a big detective comics and Batman comics fan. Dick was always the guy when Batman was a little too close to the edge and getting a little too crazy. Alfred would give him a call, and then he'd pop in and go, "Hey, what's up, Bruce?" He'd go on a mission with him or a case, and he'd basically, kind of give him the stuff. Say, "Hey, what's going on? Why are you being so this? Why are you doing this? Why are you whatever?" And he was the guy that could always pull Bruce kind of back from the abyss. And just totally my own opinion of it. I think that one of the reasons that Bruce is so hard on him was that I think Dick wanted him to be Batman, but Dick realizes he could never be Batman because Dick will never be that obsessed and that and so it's kind of a love-hate. Like you said, he loves the fact that Dick's independent and goes his own way, but he hates the fact that he's not going to be Batman because I think he wanted Dick to be Batman. And I think that was the plan.
And when he was Batman, you could tell when it was, especially Grant Morrison writing him, they made sure to distinguish him that he was different. And I think it's Tony S. Daniels' run too, where Two-Face noticed that Batman smiling when it was Dick.
Right.
Yep. And I will say this, Tom King on his latest Batman run with the whole wedding and the aftermath of the wedding really addressed the whole Dick and Bruce. And Bruce acknowledging like, hey, I haven't been around a lot for you. We haven't hung out. So after this wedding, I'll make time to hang out with you. So I think it just depends on who's writing Batman, how the Batman, Nightwing, Dick Grayson relationship works also too.
That's a good point, Justin, because y'all are probably too young to remember, but during the 70s run when Denny O'Neil was doing Batman, he had a really good feel for the Batman Nightwing relationship or the Batman Dick Grayson relationship. They were friends. I remember he would give him a hard time. I remember just some like throwaway lines like Dick's like, I got to get back to college, and Bruce says something like, "Oh, I guess those college girls are, they're not going to wait for you, huh?" And they just smile. I mean, it was such a cool relationship. It's like, it was like a father-son relationship. Like, go ahead, go have a good time, whatever. And I think later writers have just, part of it is because the comics are so grim and gritty now. Used to not be that grim and gritty, and you could have Batman smiling and joking around with Dick Grayson.
Dick. Okay, let's read Matthew Ray's comics. Dick, especially written by Dixon, is the best Batman to have a beer with.
That's a good point. I agree. I'd love to have a beer with Dick because he wouldn't take the piss out of you. He'd just be fun. He'd just sit around and he'd crack a joke and you talk about chicks and you'd ask about Starfire and he'd smile and not say anything, like, yeah, whatever. He would be a cool dude. I mean, you wouldn't want to have Bruce Wayne would be terrible to have a beer with.
He really would.
He would be holding a beer and then keep working.
Yeah, he wouldn't even drink it.
And then he'll be like, "Don't worry, I'm listening to every single word you said." But then you just like, yeah, your heart is not there, so why bother?
Well, I think his heart's not there. That Bruce is always, it's always about the mission. And that's the difference is Dick is able to distance himself from the mission, kind of like why Damian is kind of like his father. It's all about the mission. Dick knows when to be Dick. So we know that when Dick Grayson is Dick Grayson, he's Dick Grayson. When he's Nightwing, he's Nightwing. Whereas with Bruce, you don't know if he's actually Bruce or he's in Batman mode or a little bit of both also too.
Yeah, there's almost no real Bruce Wayne, really. Bruce Wayne has become the facade, and Batman's the real person there. I think Tom King, like you were saying, Dustin, he did a good job with some stuff. I think he did a good job of showing Bruce Wayne more.
Yeah, I love that he's actually developing Bruce Wayne as a character. I've always felt that sometimes those books have lacked showing Bruce Wayne and that he's an actual person, with feelings. And you can... I hope we're not spoiling anybody if you haven't read Batman 50, but you can break Bruce emotionally, And I think after the whole Nightwing being shot in the head, he took it to KGB Beast also too. He was pissed off because it happened right next to him and he failed to do something about it. So I think I like that Tom King is really establishing the relationship. We'll see. I forgot. I think it's Scott LaBelle took over for not just Tim Seeley, who, by the way, another great Nightwing writer is Tim Seeley's Nightwing Rebirth. If you haven't read his run so far, it's amazing. I think he understands the concept of Nightwing. And if you get a chance to read Nightwing Rebirth, I believe it's the first 4 volumes. Check them out. But,
Yeah, all right, guys. Do we have? Because we're hitting that time where we're about to close out. This has been. Let's everybody. Let everybody have a closing statement and the reason why they love Nightwing so much. Let's go with Grandpa Mike, and then we'll go to Jordan and Dustin, and then we'll close off with Dinah.
Why do I've always liked Nightwing because I'll tell you one thing that's unique about him is that he was the first, or maybe there's another one that I don't know about. He was really the first costume sidekick to totally break off on his own, and that's one thing that DC does that Marvel doesn't do is they let these guys just go off and be their own person, and so they let him go off and be Nightwing. He didn't come back to being Robin ever, and they just said, okay, we're going to have new Robins from here on out. I always thought that was really cool when that happened in Titans. They're like, wow, he's a new character now. He's got this new costume and everything. And they just don't do that a lot. They don't take a character totally away from their origins and let them have a totally new identity. And I thought that was really cool and I think that's one of the only characters they could have done that with in the DC universe. He could have become a totally different superhero.
All right, Jordan.
What I like about Robin / Nightwing is that he stuck by Bruce until for a long time, and went on his own path when he couldn't stand him anymore. And I just like that he stood by him as long as he did.
All right, let's go with our Nightwing expert, Dustin. And I hope that you had fun here and that you'll join us again for some of the other Titans Thursdays.
yeah, I definitely do, as long as I don't have anything with grad school going on. But yeah, I definitely had fun. I like this, and it's just always fun to talk about comic books, period. So any chance. But for me, it's, I grew up with Batman's, Spider-Man was probably one of my other favorite ones. And when I really did venture from DC, you can see some similarities. He's witty, he's fun. I think of all the superheroes though in DC, he's actually the most relatable. And that's why I think not just me, but a lot of people love Nightwing. And when they tried, and thank you, Dan Dido, for listening to the fans, but they tried to kill Nightwing a couple of times, and the fans have just completely given Dan Dido hell, and rightfully so. But I think that's what it is. He's just so relatable, and he's just a great character that you can't help but not love Nightwing.
I am so mad that we didn't talk about that, because that is something that, they have tried to kill Nightwing off several times before, and fans threw a fit.
I mean, if you look at Forever Evil, who was the one that was the catalyst to start it all off? They revealed that Nightwing was Dick Grayson, and he got a new series, even though, and then he still came back to Nightwing. So he's always going to be Nightwing.
God, I'm so mad that we didn't talk about that. All right, Dinah, you can go.
Oh, yeah, I might not be very knowledgeable, but I learn a lot from you guys. So I kind of come to some kind of my own parables that seeing Nightwing is great because he's Dick Grayson. Nightwing is just his other side, there's other thing he do, but he's great because he's Dick Grayson. It's amazing to see that when you guys bring it up, and I see that the differences, because Batman is, like you said, unapproachable. You cannot understand him. But Dick Grayson they have similar background. Parents died, rough brought up, and he is Batman's apprentice, but he does not become Batman. Batman is a broken man. Even he is he is really tough, really strong, have great will, but he is still a broken man. But Dick is different, so it's quite amazing to see that. Like, it's kind of like that kind of concept. The same thing happen to different people will turn them into different people. So I think that's amazing because he is Dick Grayson, and we love Nightwing because he is Dick Grayson, not just because of the title Nightwing, because he is just who he is.
All right. Well, I'd have to say that one of my favorite things about Nightwing is he's not really scared of anything. He's a fearless leader, and he's only human, and especially with the Titans, he's facing with people with he has friends on his side that have remarkable powers, and he's leading them, and he's in charge of them, and he's guiding them. I think Dustin, you'll probably remember this quote a little bit better than I, so than I would. But please correct me if I'm wrong here. But it's if you're afraid of falling, then you'll never fly.
Sounds about right.
That's one thing that I remember from a Nightwing book. But this has been Titans Thursdays with Grandpa Mike, Jordan, Dinah, and our Nightwing expert Dustin. I will do a straw poll on my Twitter, and you guys can vote for the next Titan that we do next week. So I'll see all of you guys then.